Hello and welcome to another episode of the Melodic Mornings Podcast. I'm your host, Reece Dennis, along with co-host Matthew Fellows.
Hello, how are we all doing? Yeah, we good?
I don't think I can answer that, mate. And our guest today, as you can see from the title of the podcast, is Mr. Ritvik Chakradhar. Please tell me I said that right.
It's cool.
Okay, cool. So, Ritvik, what areas of the music industry do you specialise in?
So I am part of the DJ producer duo Nitro. Hello, by the way. And it's a project with a producer from Peru who lives in New Jersey called Johan Medina. And we've been producing together for the past couple of years. I actually started alone in 2014, but after that I met him in 2016, and then it just worked out very well mutually. So been producing electronic music ever since then.
Fair play. What's it like collaborating with someone in music? Do you feel like some songs are easier to just get down together, or like do you work on a song and then like your partner Joanne comes in and just, you know?
Yeah, since I had the experience of producing by myself as well before that, I've always been more of a collaborative person myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like back when I used to learn singing for 8 years, back in school years, I used to ask my teacher to sing with me because I was literally like it would work better that way. And so even with Johan, we actually collaborated on a few tracks. We met over SoundCloud, just messaged each other and then emailed each other stems and all of that. So we collaborated on 3 tracks before we started the Nitro project as a duo.
Right.
So things just went on from there, and our tracks did really well. So we thought we work really well together, and since then we've been sending each other ideas and finishing tracks in a week. So
Fair play.
Yeah.
Any tracks of note you want to publicize, like any track that you worked on together and thought this is the one, like this is
right? Yeah. So the first track we ever did together in 2015, which actually received a lot of support from international DJs, was Blackout. It was a track from Nitro, and he was part of this DJ producer duo called Totem Lost at the time.
Right.
So that was the track that we decided to form a duo from. So after that, we worked on 3 or 4 more songs like of the same genre, and they received support from Martin Garrix, Hardwell, Nicky Romero, and Steve Aoki. So that was a really big deal.
Nice bit of support, that,
but yeah, so we were in that same genre, and those songs were Lost Tonight, Prophet, Glaze, and Locura. If you want to check them out, they're all there on our Spotify.
Cool.
So those are the songs that we really like to work on together.
Cool.
Okay, so just wondering sort of what other collaborations do you sort of make sort of outside of Nitro really? Is there anything sort of other side projects you've sort of got?
Right,
going
so
on?
I actually wrote and co-produced a little of the song Stay Away by Canadian DJ producer Simon Schuyler, which was released on Dioro's record label Panda Funk. And it also happened to be a sub-label of Interscope Records on Universal, actually. So that was the first song I actually wrote the lyrics for, because Simon already had a singer with melodies, so I just literally threw some words on it. And that song, crossed 200,000 streams on Spotify. So after that, I wrote and co-produced a song with a Venezuelan producer called Ronnie Leon for an American YouTuber called Rosendale. And the song was called Divine, if you want to check it out. And we also worked with a live saxophonist, the resident saxophonist of Pacha Festival, Poland, called JJ Sax. So that was between me, Ronnie, and JJ Sax, and we did the production, and Rosendale did the top line. So that track also had a music video and everything, so it was really good. Yeah. Those are some of the projects I've worked on outside of Nitro.
Fair.
Nice.
And they're all sort of in an electro genre. Am I right in saying?
Oh, sorry?
Are they all part of like the electro genre?
Right. Yeah. So Simon Schuyler Stay Away I would consider future bass, which is subgenre of electronic dance music. And the Divine one by Rosendale would probably be electro pop, because it's like a combination of like pop with our electronic style. But this was actually just my work. Like, it wasn't really involving Johan. That's exactly why we didn't include Nitro in it. But and we just sold the instrumental. So Yeah.
Fair play. Do you find yourself, because obviously, like you mentioned, like Steve Aoki and Simon Skylar.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of networking there just to get people together and go, hey, let's produce this track. Do you find yourself like networking with people that maybe you wouldn't expect to, as in like they're not part of the genre, or they're like a producer for a different genre entirely, and then they want to do electro pop or electronic?
Yeah,
dance music?
actually, like the best example for that would be working with the sax player, actually, because he already we just literally sent him the instrumental and he recorded a saxophone over it. We didn't even give him any ideas. It was just out of the
It was
blue. So
just
I don't know
spur of the moment,
if he
like.
heard the genre before
Yeah.
or if he had any experience with it, but yeah, it's really fun to work with live instrumentalists. Like we're actually working with a guitarist for our next song, so
Cool.
things are looking pretty bright. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fair.
And yeah, to your question about networking, for the past like 3 or 4 years, we've actually managed to make a big network of producers and songwriters on our Facebook at least, and it's been really easy to reach out to everyone, being part of the same industry.
This is the Nitro Facebook page, am I right?
Oh right, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
Nitro Facebook
cool.
page, yeah. So networking's been really easy because of Facebook mainly, but
and-
we're also there on other social media like SoundCloud, Spotify, LinkedIn, Instagram, yeah.
Yeah, social media as a whole, just like you find yourself just chatting to people like across like a global scale.
Oh yeah,
and it's like,
definitely. Like over
oh,
50 countries. It's just
whereas
it's
like you can't just
crazy.
go down the road to find somebody. Oh, do you want to record this track? And it's like, nah, probably not.
yeah, exactly.
You got a nice wider range of people to work with.
Yeah, so much talent out there.
If you were to recommend Nitro to anyone what would be the first song that you choose?
Actually, yeah.
defines
So
the
from
sound.
I would say 2016 till maybe 2018 beginning, we were producing big room festival music, which was 128 beats per minute, and now we've switched to more down tempo electropop stuff, which was around 100 BPM. So right now, the song I would recommend to everyone was probably our song "Come Down" with American DJ producer duo Bose, because like that song is the perfect combination of what we wanted to go for, like pop music, like a very commercial, catchy top line with our electronic sound, and yeah, it's just a really good example for all the stuff that we are going to be putting out this year. We have a lot of new music in the same style. So
Cool.
Okay, just for the listeners, I was just wondering sort of what sort of your influences, really as a producer. Sort of, is there any sort of big names or any small names, any sort of names really that sort of really influence you?
yeah,
as a-
so
as a
I've been
producer?
listening to electronic music since probably 2010, because it's been like almost a decade. And the first EDM artist I was listening to was definitely Skrillex. Like
Right,
I was
yeah,
a
yeah.
big fan of Skrillex, and then there was Avicii and David Guetta. But the one person that actually got me into music production was Hardwell.
Right,
His song with Nitro featuring Bright Lights called "Never Say Goodbye." That's still one of my favorite songs. And after that, I just started following his record label, Revealed Recordings, and Spinnin' Records, and then Martin Garrix Animals. All that stuff came out, and then after that, like a few years after that, I didn't even imagine that we would actually have a release on his record label itself. So it was a really big deal for me. But Hardwell is definitely one of the big names, and then there's of course Martin Garrix. There's Quintino, Moti, and a lot of other producers that I used to listen to from 2013 to like 2017. Then I've started listening to more commercial music and adopting that. So
That sort of
Yeah.
style and approach to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, back when I used to listen to electronic dance music, I used to hate pop music so much. But
Right.
right now, it's completely
It's gone like
yeah, it's
180 on
just
you.
the tables have turned. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay, got you.
yeah, now we are the most EDM stuff we're doing is probably trap and future bass. But otherwise we're trying to focus more on pop music. Yeah.
Right.
So
Cool.
Interesting. Yeah, it's just sort of what plans have you really got for Nitro really as well would be quite interesting to sort of talk
right.
about.
So earlier for the past few years, what we've been doing is finishing instrumentals completely, our own ideas, and then pitching them to vocalists as a full track for them to write a song on, like complete the original lyrics and melody. But then we've realized that it's harder for both vocalists and us to work that way, and it's actually easier if vocalists provide a top line to us, like all finished, and then we produce a track around it from scratch.
Yeah.
So we actually just did one track with a singer from LA. I can't really say who yet, but
Okay.
but yeah, that song has turned out to be really well in our new method of like working around just a vocal.
Right.
We flipped a very commercial song into something a little more modern and electronic. So we are aiming to work that way and co-produce for a lot of singers as well. Hopefully some in the UK, since I'm here right now, and that would be something we plan to do.
Yeah, cool, man. I was wondering as well, just sort of like, is there any like software or like hardware that you find you started using off at the beginning of like your producing career that you sort of don't or like there's been upgraded versions of that now that you use, or that like you find other producers using and you just sort of like take that from them? You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
actually, I forgot to mention that when we started off first, we've always been bedroom producers,
yeah.
as like people like to call it. We have been producing on FL Studio 11. I think that's when we actually started, or probably even 10.
Right.
And now, of course, there's FL Studio 12, there's FL Studio 20, and right now I'm on 12 and Johan's on 11. So there are a few compatibility issues, but there's a lot of new plugins that came about, and we've started to use more of them. And as far as hardware goes, we literally have just needed a pair of headphones and a laptop every time. Of course, unless we're recording, then we need a mic and an interface as well. But that's pretty much like it's just FL Studio mainly.
So just one of like the benefits of the modern era, just being able to like, you don't have to book out a random studio.
Oh yeah, definitely.
across
Like
the road
bedroom
and then
producing is really good if you can do it right. Yeah.
A lot more like music house.
Of course, we can't really have a professional monitor test whenever we want to, so that's a little bit of a drawback. But then we just find one of our producer friends who has a set of monitors, and there's always someone, so we can test our mixes there.
Again, coming back to that thing of networking and just like knowing the right
exactly
people.
That's exactly how it came about. And of course there's car mixes as well. Sounds really good in cars, so
exactly.
It's good when it sounds good in cars. And that coming to that, actually, we want our aim right now is to just produce music that can be played literally anywhere. Let's say it can be played in a mall, can be played in a gym, can be played in a washroom or toilet.
So them speaker toilets.
Any places. And the main focus is of course radio, which is again mostly in cars. So that's pretty much how we came about, even in terms of networking.
Cool man.
What sort of platforms are you looking to sort of get your music onto? I mean, you've said you've got music on Spotify, YouTube, even if it's not sort of an online social platform, if you like.
Right.
Any radio stations you're sort of aiming for, anything like that?
Right now, currently, of course, we have our music on SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, and iTunes, Apple Music, all of those. We started off uploading just on SoundCloud. Like, we used to just upload free downloads, whenever we wanted to, no scheduling, nothing. It was just no record labels as well, just put it out for all the fans just to hear fans. But
no, it's cool.
But after that, of course, we started focusing more on record label releases and releasing even on Beatport to get more buys. And when it comes to radio stations, we actually our main aim was to get on Sirius XM, electro mainly, because of course it's electronic music. And we did happen to get on that with our track Locura with Domino, which was released on Hardwell's Revealed Recordings. It was on Borges's radio show, House of Borges, which was on Sirius XM. And even our song Come Down, the most recent one, was on Cash Cash's radio station, which is again on Sirius XM. So that was the main goal. And there was also Indigo 91.9, which is a radio station, one of the biggest in India, in Bangalore, where I live. And we also managed to get on that 4 times because we were on Hardwell on air with our tracks Lost Tonight, Prophet and Glaze, and Locura, of course. So that was, again, a big deal. And then there was Radio 538 in Netherlands, which is, again, one of the biggest for electronic music. And, again, the same situation. So these were some of the aims initially, but my main goal right now is to get on the global top 50 on Spotify. Like that's
Yeah.
that's what we're
That's-
aiming
that's
for
the
right now.
dream,
Like
yeah.
Spotify is the dream. Yeah,
Yeah.
Spotify is the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, was there any sort of as an extension of that, what for example YouTube, is there any YouTube channels or anything like that you sort of as well, just using that as an example, that you sort of really would like to feature on sort of in the future as well, or is it just
Yeah, actually, for the past few years, Johan and I have been wanting to get on Trap Nation or Trap City, and we've been sending them a lot of demos as well. We have a lot of trap music, so I feel like that is something achievable this year, but who knows? And there's of course also no copyright sounds, NCS,
Yeah.
because we have a lot of YouTuber friends who want to use our music without any copyrights. So
yeah.
that's a good solution. But it's always been a goal of ours. Actually, we have a lot of friends who've released on NCS, so that's again another goal. And our main goal was to get signed by a major, actually. And that might have just happened. I can't really say more than that, but
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you say that because obviously you signed at the moment to
we actually of course we released on 2 international record labels so far. You can say you can say 5 actually if you count independent ones. So it was Hardwell's Reveal Recordings, and then we released an official remix for 300 Entertainment, which is under Atlantic on Warner. And now we are actually independent. We're not really signed exclusively to any record label.
Yeah.
And we've never really had an artist manager as well. It's always been
You
me
and
handling
John.
all of the
Yeah.
marketing stuff and all the social media and all of that. So yeah, that's right now we're independent.
Yeah, cool, man, cool. What I meant by that is that you've released with
Right,
Rivers,
yeah,
not,
yeah, I got that.
being signed. Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
But,
Then so those are the 2 record labels we released with till 2018, and then after that we released on an independent record label called Elixir Records. That was partnered up with Daz Network, which is a channel on YouTube which has 2 million subscribers. That was the song Calm Down, of course.
Right.
Then we had Universe on a record label from Miami called Tipsy Records, and then Sovereign Records as well. It was a joint deal. So yeah, that's just like around 4 or 5 so far.
Yeah. Fair. Were there any not setbacks, but were there any like hurdles you had to go through with the record label? Say like, did they give any pointers to songs, or did they very much like let you?
Yeah, actually,
where you
there
wanna
were quite a few hurdles. Actually, there's always quite a few hurdles when signing a track with a record label, because the main thing is schedule, because they always have so many releases planned. So you'd want it out in, let's say, September, but then it only comes out in December.
Yeah.
And of course, that was the first problem. Second problem is probably royalties, because usually record labels are supposed to provide an advance, or at least they're supposed to offer it. But then, of course, we're splitting royalties 5 ways, like our song Calm Down.
Yeah.
It doesn't really add up to that much. So
No.
even if there are a lot of streams, in fact, so that is another hurdle. And apart from that, it's also the masters. Like, you have to have them approved by the record label, otherwise they're gonna keep making you work on it again.
Just to get the right sound.
Exactly. Because it needs to sound like the stuff they put out, like the quality. So to achieve that is, if you've been listening to them, it's not that hard, but then it's still very subjective, because they want it a certain way. So those are just
that's
some of the
because
hurdles.
I think with record companies in general, like they will have artists and producers that write hit songs and then write stuff that gets them touring for 2 years on
Precisely,
end.
yeah.
So it's like they will see that and go, right, what works for these artists, we'll try and not force it, but try and like what's the word, just sort of guide people into that direction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to get it get it to be enough.
Yeah,
of a
that
hit.
touch, yeah.
Yeah. Right. I think we've only got one question left for you, really.
Okay.
Sort of the big one on the podcast. If you could give yourself advice to yourself at the start of your career, what would it be? I know it's fairly like early days in hindsight. I mean, like we're all quite young here.
Oh
so-
yeah, definitely.
But like, you know.
Definitely really young and a lot to learn.
Yeah.
But the advice I would give myself at the start of my career, it's actually something I haven't really thought about, but I would say just waste less time.
Yeah.
Like, there's just too many distractions while you're on your music journey. So I would just say focus more, like put in more hours every single day, because there were some days, maybe even weeks, that I'd go without producing. And same with Johan as well, because we both are in university right now, and it's really hard with the schedules and everything. So I would just say prioritize more with music.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Fair, man. Good answer. Good answer. Oh, so where can we find your music?
Oh yeah. Cool. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can follow us on all our socials. The username is We Are Nitro on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, Snapchat, Twitter, everywhere. So make sure to check our music out on our Spotify page. And thanks.
Well, right, you've been listening to the Melodic Mornings podcast. Thank you, Ritvik, for coming on.
yeah,
you very
thank
much.
you, Reese and Matt.
Really interesting conversation. I've been Reese Dennis.
And I've been Matt Fellows, yeah. Thank
And
you.
have yourself a melodic morning. Yeah, so this will be an edited podcast.
Yeah,
At least.
yeah.
It'll be good. We'll fix it in post, yeah.